No theatrical intro for this one because I've been thinking long and hard about what to do and what to say, but I literally could not think of a single thing. So, just have this. Okay, hi! I'm Cherry and you've stumbled upon my channel, and today we are going to be doing my sapphic September wrap-up. I'm doing a wrap-up instead of a recent reads because this is technically also recent reads, and I read quite a bit last September because it is sapphic September, which was hosted by Manic Femi. I will link her Twitter down below. She recommends a lot of good sapphic books, and I just could not let the month pass without joining it. You know, I live as if every month is sapphic September anyway, so I don't know why I even bother joining. But yeah, I had a lot of fun, even though I didn't read as much as I wanted to, but I did read quite a bit, and I'm kind of proud of that, but also at the same time, I'm a little disappointed that I didn't read enough, because there was like 16 prompts, I think, and I only read, hang on, there were 16 prompts, and I only read 6.5 books. And I'm not even sure if I reached half of the last one, but I did read some of it, and I will get to that in a bit. But yeah, I never know how to do my wrap-ups in recent reads, so I'm going to be trying a new format thing today, and I will be listing down the books I read in order of least to most favorite read of the month. So yeah, we're going to be trying that out today, and hopefully it works because I really have no idea how to list down the books I read. Last month, I think I listed it by categories, but right now we're going to rank it. Anyway, let's get on to the books because I do have a tendency to ramble during wrap-ups and recent reads, so let's just start. Let's start with my... It's not a current read, but I am still in the middle of reading it. I have not DNF'd it, and I feel so bad that I have not even finished it yet, even though I promised myself I would read it in sapphic September. But maybe in Clear Your Shit in November, I will. Maybe. No, I am convinced I will. But yeah, that is America Is Not the Heart by Elaine Castillo. This book is just so freaking slow. I don't know. Okay, I really want to read it because I'm curious, and I really love the references to Philippine culture. I really enjoy all the Philippine references because the setting is in America, because Hero was exiled by her family to America, and it's just so freaking slow. And I am so bored. Sometimes I'm like reading, and then I check the page count, and I've only read like, 50 pages? And I'm like, what do you mean I've only read like 50 pages? It feels like I've been sitting here for like 5 hours. But yeah, I feel so bad because it is such an interesting story, and I really do want to finish it. I don't know if it's because I'm really interested, or I want to finish it because my OCD refuses to cooperate and let me DNF, but I don't want to DNF a Filipino author, so I will definitely be picking this up after spooky season, most likely during the Clear Your Shit readathon. But yes, I will finish it, and it will happen. Now we are officially going into the rankings, and let's start with my least favorite book, which I gave 2.5, which I feel like is a pretty generous rating already. But yeah, that is Boogie Woman by Jamie Gordon. Why is the lighting like this every single time? Does it work here? Yes, does it work here? Okay, let's switch seats. The least favorite book I read last sapphic September is Boogie Woman by Jamie Gordon. And when I tell you I am disappointed, it is an understatement. The understatement of the century. Because this book is a book I've been wanting to read since I made a Goodreads account in 2012 or something. It was one of the first sapphic books I've ever discovered, and one of the first sapphic books I've ever added to my to-reads shelf. And this copy was given to me by my high school best friend, which I really appreciate because I had no idea that I would ever find this book here. I feel terrible for giving this the lowest rating because I started thinking maybe it'll be a 3 at least, The writing style was super hard to get into. It was so hard to read because the author uses words that are so unfamiliar and unique to the story. Like, for example, instead of head, she uses dreambox. And it took me a while to get it because when she refers to psychiatrists, she says dreambox mechanic. And I was like, that's really creative, but it is very hard to understand, you know? And when they say personally, they use poisonally. And I'm like, is that an accent? I don't. Plus points for creativity, because that was probably super difficult to keep track of and to be consistent with. But it was just so freaking hard to read. And the story went, I don't know where it went. It was everywhere. It was like, how is this even happening? This book was compared to Oliver Twist and Lolita. I read Lolita. I love Lolita. It's just, I didn't see it in this book. I feel like the only thing that could even be compared to Lolita here is the quote-unquote age gap, because I think the girl is like 16 and the psychiatrist is like in her 40s or something. The ending even is like, I don't even understand the ending. It's just, I just did not enjoy my time reading this. Okay, I did enjoy some bits. I was like, oh, okay, this seems a little interesting now. Maybe it'll surprise me. And it did surprise me, but not in a good way. But yeah, it's done. It's done. We've ticked that off the bucket list and we can move on with our lives. Anyway, on to our next book, and that is White is for Witching by Helen Oyeyemi. This one is a sapphic horror book, which is also mixed in with magical realism. So, I mean, the writing style is not hard to read, but the story itself is a little confusing because of the magical realism bit, and I am not a fan of magical realism, and I don't have a lot of experience with it except for Haruki Murakami. I gave this book 3.5 stars because I did enjoy a lot of the parts, but I rounded it down to 3 because while I did enjoy it, like I said, there were just some things that did not keep me interested. Like, I kept putting the book down, and it's a pretty short book too. Honestly speaking, it was definitely eerie, and some parts gave me the creeps. It's like, it's kind of a haunted house story, but the house is alive. I think that was the most interesting part. There were chapters here that showed the point of view of the house, and I think that was really fun and really cool. But I feel like the reason I didn't enjoy this that much is because I really just don't vibe with magical realism. It was okay. I still recommend it to people who love magical realism, especially mixed in with their horror. And by the way, I forgot to mention that this book has eating disorder representation. The main character, Miranda, has pica. And if you don't know what pica is an eating disorder wherein the person craves or only eats non-edible things. So in this book, Miranda has a thing for chalk and plastic, specifically plastic spatulas. Like, sometimes she'd be reading or doing homework and she'd be chewing on a plastic spatula, but for the most part she eats chalk. I think that was really interesting, and I don't know if it's an accurate representation considering personally I don't really have pica, and pica is very underrepresented in fiction and media, so that was an interesting addition to this book. The next book, actually the next 2 books are pretty tied in my mind, and I'm not sure which one I would rate higher. They're both a 4-star read for me, and that is We Are Okay by Nina LaCour and Out of the Blue by Sophie Cameron. These are both really good reads, and I don't know which ones I would rate higher. Okay, let's just start with We Are Okay. This book, I think I've already talked about it a bit in my reading vlog, so I will link that down below if you guys want to see. But yeah, We Are Okay is a very unique story about grief and mental illness, and it is so melancholic. Like, the whole time I was reading it, I definitely felt the emotion. I felt our main character, what is her name? Marin. I felt the main character's loneliness all throughout, but there were some heartwarming moments, and it trumped the heartache. And those heartwarming moments are the ones that made me tear up. It was just so beautiful. This book is absolutely beautiful. And it is my first Nina LaCour book, so I really wasn't sure what to expect, but I really enjoyed this. I went into it knowing that it is about grief and that it is sad. Really sad. And it's super sad. So if you get like triggered easily, trigger warnings for like suicide and mental illness for sure. But it was a gorgeous and genuine take on those subjects, and I am really glad I read this. It's like it packs a punch. It packs a strong punch even though it's super short. I am really excited to pick up more Nina LaCour books in the future. I actually have another one. Is it here? Yeah, I have another one. It's Everything Leads to You, and I'm really excited to pick that one up in the future too. The next book, and the one tied to We Are Okay, is Out of the Blue by Sophie Cameron. I was disappointed over some things, but it still ended up being an amazing read. So the first thing I am disappointed about is the fact that it's not an angel romance. There are angels, but I checked the Goodreads page and people were like, oh, there's a disabled main character love interest thing, blah, blah. And I love the disabled representation. The love interest has cystic fibrosis. While that was interesting, I went into it thinking that the romance was going to be with a fallen angel, and that was not the case. But it's fine. It's totally fine because this story, oh my god, like We Are Okay, this story also tackles grief. And it's another beautiful take on the subject. The romance doesn't take the center stage in this story, which I absolutely like. And the characters were very realistic. They had a lot of faults, even though the story, of course it's an urban fantasy, but you know, the characters felt genuine and very realistic. They have a lot of flaws, which is the focus of the story. And I fell in love with the angel. What did they call the angel? I think they called the angel tea cake because the angel loved tea cakes. Chocolate ones, to be exact. She kept eating it. It was the only thing she ate the whole time. My only qualm is that this book started with a lot of questions that I hope would be answered by the end. And while the ending is super hopeful and actually really, really, really good, it's just that, okay, I'm fine with open endings. It's just that you don't start the book with like these questions, all these questions, and then end it without answering any of them, you know? And I feel like the author left it to us to figure that out on our own, which is not bad per se. It's just that it just made the story feel lackluster in a way. But yeah, I still liked it. It's just that I hope that my questions were answered by the end, which they weren't. The next book is the only digital book I read last month, and that's because I really wanted to read it for Sapphic September, and that's A Dowry of Blood by S.T. Gibson. This one is a retelling of Dracula's Bride. This book is both a Sapphic and Achillean because it does feature a polyamorous relationship, and this book tackles toxic relationships, toxic codependent relationships, and I think it was amazing. This book, really, really great. I rounded it down to 4 stars on Goodreads, but my original rating is 4.5. There were some things that did not sit right with me. There were just some things that I didn't like. I get the hype. Let's just say that. I definitely get the hype, and I get why everyone has been raving about this book because it deserves all the praise. It was incredible. The writing style was stunning. Like, I've only been like a few pages in, and I've already highlighted a lot of the lines because they were just beautiful. I'm torn about my rating, honestly. I feel like I should have given it a 5, but the ending felt more like a 4.5. And there were some parts that I was like a little about, but yeah, it's definitely a 4.5 for me. Like bordering on a 5, but just not quite. You know, does that make sense? I hope it makes sense. Thank you, Book Twitter, for talking about The Dowry of Blood nonstop, because this book is a gem and I loved it, surprisingly. The thing is, I am not a fan of polyamorous relationships. It's just a personal preference. If you like it or you are part of one, I have nothing against you. It's just my personal preference. But this book worked it out so well. It was great. I didn't feel uncomfortable reading any of it. Oh, I think also the author mentioned that this book was actually a pandemic baby. At the beginning, there were a lot of references to the Black Plague, and I think it was inspired by the pandemic. The last book, which I gave 5 stars, definitely. I was torn at the beginning too, but it was definitely 5 stars. It was the first book I picked up for Sapphic September, and the book that made me want to take part in Sapphic September, and that is Beyond the Ruby Veil by Mara Fitzgerald. This one I bought because Landice, who is the host of Sapphic September, raved about it a lot on Instagram, and the moment I saw that it was sapphic with an unlikable main character, I was sold. I did not regret it. It's super short. It's a short book, but there were so many things that happened. Like, shit just escalated so fucking fast. I was like, wait, hold on, I haven't registered the thing that happened 5 minutes ago yet. But my favorite thing, by far, is probably that Emanuela, the main character and also our point of view in this book, is such an unlikable character. She is such a bitch. She is the biggest fucking bitch ever. She is self-obsessed and obnoxious. Those characteristics of hers didn't develop. She didn't become nice. She didn't have like this redemption arc where she turned into the nicest person ever. She was a bitch up until the very last page. And I love that. It made the entire story 10 times more entertaining. Being in her mind was super amusing. And Mara Fitzgerald did it so well because it is so consistent. Like, there was no out of character slip in any way, which was incredible in my opinion. If you want to read it for spooky season, go for it because it is really dark. It is super dark and twisted. I didn't think it would go the horrific and gruesome corners that it did, but it did. It went very dark and horrific places. And I love that about it, but it just surprised me. It surprised me because it is young adult, but it was so dark. It got really dark in a lot of places, especially at the end. It just kept going. Also, if you expect romance, you might be a little disappointed by this first book because it's slow burn. And by slow burn, I mean the romance is only hinted in the first book. It does not really take center stage. In fact, I think the romance will be delved deeper into during the second book, which is Into the Midnight Void, which I think will be releasing by the end of the year. But yeah, I'm super excited for that. The story will grip you, and I loved every second of it. And those are the books I read for Sapphic September. I will continue reading America Is Not the Heart for Clear Your Shit, and I feel really bad that I didn't finish it for Sapphic September, but yeah, it is spooky season, so I will be reading a lot of spooky shit, and I've already made quite a dent on my Hocus Pocus and Spooktober TBRs, and I'm quite happy with that. I've also got a few buddy reads going on, which have been very motivating, but yeah, I'm sad I didn't read a lot of books for Sapphic September, but at the same time, I'm also proud that I managed to read quite a bit because I am a slow reader. That's on brand at this point, but yeah. If anyone's wondering what my costume today is, it is supposed to be a fairy. And the reason I'm a fairy is because we're talking about sapphic books, and I am incredibly gay. Let's take that off. And I will show you my ears. This is actually my true form, guys. I am from Elfheim. And I've met Carden, I've seen his tail. But yes, those are the books I read for Sapphic September. Hopefully Spooktober will be much better. But yes, that is all I have for you today. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you in my next one. Goodbye! I have to pause for a bit because I literally just started my video, but my fake nails keep falling off. God damn it. Oh my god, the light. This is like the most struggle I've been having with like recording recently. I've been having a lot of technical difficulties right now, and it's so freaking hot too.